Alright, we're back. Another Saturday. You know that means another reaction to a Clemson game. I apologize, my eyes are a little glossy. I'm very tired currently. So, this video is probably going to be a little bit slower. Maybe not as long as the other ones I've done. So I am tired. I'm looking to go to bed. But I do want to just talk about that Clemson BC game. Because there's obviously a lot to take away from that. The Clemson Tigers come out and win 19-13. For those of you who don't know, I went to Clemson for 3.5 years. Graduated from there. My mom actually went to Boston College, so a little bit of an interesting rivalry there. But 19-13 win for Clemson. And at this point, any win's a win. I'll take it. You know, any kind of win, especially against an ACC opponent, is positive at this point. So I'll take that. But Clemson really, oh boy. I mean, every week, I don't know why. This is probably my fault at this point. But every week, I keep expecting it to get better. I keep expecting something to get fixed. I guess you could say I expect something to just click where we're going to turn it around and be maybe not the same team, not the same dominant force we were for the past maybe 4 to 6 years, but be something close to that. Where we're capable of going out and just putting up a 40-6 win on someone. I'm expecting that to happen at some point this year. Where we're going up against a solid team, not necessarily a great team, but a solid team, and we're just going to blow out one of them. I keep expecting that to happen, and it just has not happened. And it didn't happen this night at all. It was, again, offense looks very slow. Let's just go through some points that took away from this game. Starting with the very end of the game. Clemson ran 18 seconds off the clock after they get that last defensive stop, which should have been the last defensive stop of the game. The offense ran 18 seconds off the clock before giving BC the ball back at Boston College's, 35 or 40-yard line, something like that. I mean, I understand that BC has all the timeouts coming up and they're just going to use their timeouts after every play to stop us. So I understand it's going to be a run play, a timeout, run play, timeout, run play, timeout. I get that. But after your defense makes such a great stop, when BC was starting to go out and win the game, your defense gets you that stop. The least thing the offense can do after everything that happened during this game is just go out there and run the clock out and win the game. And instead, you only get 18 seconds off the clock and you throw the defense right back out there. This defense, by the way, is looking tired towards the end of the game. They're banged up. We're missing a lot of good players. And the offense ran 18 seconds off the clock. And that was it. And you gave BC the ball back. And frankly, the reason Clemson won this game isn't skill, it's luck. You know, Clemson won this game largely because of luck. And there were some very good plays in this game. I don't want to take away from anybody who played well in this performance, but there was also a lot of terrible plays from a bunch of players on both sides of the ball for Clemson. And really, you know, the two bad snaps late in the game for Boston College, the one that ended up cautioning the game because KJ Henry fell on the ball for Clemson, recovered it, and that basically ended the game. Two bad snaps for Boston College. Really helped Clemson out. And again, Grosel for Boston College, the quarterback who stepped in for Phil Jurkovec, who was out for the year. He played really good down the stretch. Not good overall for the game, but good down the stretch. And he completed just over 50% of his passes today with 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. BC had a total of 46 rushing yards in the game. And Clemson won by, what was it? Clemson won by 6 points. You know? That's what I'm saying. And then Boston College was driving. Boston College was uncontestedly driving down the field to win the game before that bad snap that KJ Henry fell on. And you say, oh, Clemson would have been not broken it there at the end. Yeah, well, the defense is just getting steamrolled. The last play, I think before that fumble, there's a Boston College player sitting on just right on the sideline, wide open, and it's over a 10-yard gain, easily. Just standing there wide open, no one within 5 yards of him. So, you can say, oh, they would have been not broken, but I really don't know if I can trust that, given what I saw down the stretch there. And again, that's not necessarily on the defense. The offense taking 18 seconds off the play clock, not giving the defense any time to rest, and just expecting the defense to go out there and bail them out once again. So, that's kind of my rant for the video. I can get in similar points. I still got a lot of our bullet points I want to talk about. The offense. Let's stick with the offense because they deserve to be the main talking point of this whole situation. Consistently, the offense was behind schedule. And when I say behind schedule, I mean we're talking about 3rd and long. We're talking about instead of being 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 4, it's 3rd and 8. It's 3rd and 10 or something like that. To the point where you need a long pass play But the defense can kind of sit back and just guard the marker and not have to worry about you running the ball because it's going to be a passing down for you pretty much. And it makes you one-dimensional as an offense and makes you much easier to defend. Which is why Clemson went 3 for 14 on third downs today and 0 for 1 on fourth downs. Because a lot of those third downs were coming from 8+ yards behind the marker. And it's so easy to defend those situations because you have a huge cushion if you're the defense to work with. And you know it's probably not going to be a run play. It's probably not going to be a screen play. You can X out plays that Clemson runs quite frequently. So they ran a lot of plays with DJ where he was running the ball. They ran a lot of plays with Kobe Pace, you know? A guy in, let me try to say his name. I don't want to mess up his last name. Phil Maffa, there we go. That's how it was said, right? We were going to redshirt that guy, by the way. We were going to redshirt Maffa. After watching him last night, I'm not convinced that this guy is not the best running back on Clemson's team right now. You know, I think he could potentially be the best back on this team, just based on some of the things he's able to do, at least in the running game. Redshirt that guy. Redshirting Maffa is an interesting thing that we need to talk about at some other point in time. I understand that we had Will Shipley, who we're very high on. I understand we had Kobe Pace. I understand we had Lynn J. Dixon before he entered the transfer portal, and everything's really changed now with Shipley hurt and Lynn J. Dixon in the transfer portal. But still, that's the conversation we'll have to have for another time with Maffa, and the idea that we could redshirt someone like that who's that talented. But the offense is just so behind schedule. It lacks explosiveness. It gets behind the downs. It's just such a mess. It has to do a lot with DJ. DJ Uiagalelei is a shell of the guy we saw last year against Notre Dame, and I believe we played Boston College as well last year. He's a shell of that player. Not even close. He was high and off target on the majority of his throws tonight, it felt like. Now, I'm sure we could go back and track and say, well, it wasn't actually the majority. Well, he was 13 for 28, so he's completing under 50% of his throws, and it's not because the defense is playing well, they're batting away passes. Part of it is because the wide receivers can't separate. So that's part of the issue. But part of it's just because he's off target. He's missing. Why? He's missing open receivers. There were multiple times Clemson could have scored touchdowns. But DJ went and missed the throw. There was separation. Guys running down the sideline with openings to go and score for Clemson. And DJ overthrows the guy by 5 yards. He was putting them in bad situations all game. Again, they've not always separated well from him, so I understand that it's not necessarily all on him. But a lot of throws tonight from what I saw were on him. Just missing receivers or throwing it too high. Guys that trying to make one-handed catches for the ball because he was missing those guys when they were running open. So at this point, with this team right now, and I understand this might sound a little silly because it might sound like common sense, but if I'm Dabo Swinney, there is not a single position that I am not recruiting, trying to get the best guy possible for. I understand that people might say, that sounds silly. You should always try to recruit to get the best guys possible. I understand that. But what I'm saying is you should not be afraid to replace anybody on this team right now if you're Dabo Swinney. You should not be afraid to replace any of these guys based on how they played this year, including DJ. Injuries keep popping up. Justyn Ross was in street clothes by the middle of the third quarter, I believe. Xavier Thomas had a limp off. I believe he came back on at some point. Uiagalelei was not there. Then Allen, of course, gets ejected for targeting very early in the game, so that's not great either. So injuries and availability continues to be a problem for Clemson. I highly doubt it's going to change based on everything that's gone on so far this year. Even last year, injuries and COVID were a problem for Clemson, so I don't think that's going to change at any point this year. It's probably just going to continue. The Tigers are just going to have to deal with it, unfortunately. Going back to the offense again. Clemson's not winning the 50-50 balls they always used to. I mean, that's quite apparent. Guys with T. Higgins, Deion Kane, Justyn Ross in his first 2 years, they're not winning those 50-50 balls. Justyn Ross, even when he's healthy on the field, is not winning those 50-50 balls right now. Part of it's because, again, those passes are less accurate with DJ throwing them than Trevor Lawrence. So that's part of the issue right now. Also, it's because it's less vertical down the field for those shots. They're not coming on 40-yard or 50-yard throws. They're coming more on those like 20 to 15-yard plays, which I think adds a little bit of level of difficulty for the receiver versus the cornerback. But a big part of the offense, a big part of the offensive identity for Clemson is gone now, apparently, with this new quarterback and with the way the receivers are playing currently. Too many drops and missed catch opportunities. Justyn got late in the game and had a chance to really put it away, and he misses a catch. Justyn Ross had one earlier in the game. Justyn Ross had ones against NC State. Two actually against NC State they should have at least caught that could have prolonged the game as it was. So, big letdown for the wide receivers, guys who are viewed as being probably the mainstays and probably one of the best units on this Clemson team outside the defensive line when healthy. That receiver core is supposed to be so good. Clemson's supposed to be a wide receiver factory. Uiagalelei had a really good night overall, but a key drop that really could have ended the game there. And again, Justyn Ross, the most talented guy in the offense at this point, at least based on what he did this first 2 years with Clemson, has had an issue with just not even just drops, just not getting his hands on the ball this year. So that has to turn around for anything to be somewhat sensible. For this offense to do anything at all, that has to change. One thing I didn't like, too many delayed draws with DJ today. DJ Uiagalelei is a powerful dude, but he's not going to run through too many people. Like he'll get a couple broken tackles a game, but odds are he's not going to break a tackle of a defensive lineman or of a relatively, large linebacker. If you're playing a 210 linebacker, that's different than playing a 235 linebacker. If you're playing some linebacker that weighs 235 pounds, DJ's probably not going to break that tackle. So I think there's too many delayed runs with him because he's not, and maybe I could be wrong about this, but last year when I watched Trevor Lawrence one week and then DJ the next week, it felt like DJ was running in slow motion compared to Trevor Lawrence. It felt like he's a little less shifty as well. So to me, running that many plays with DJ running the ball up the middle just at some point doesn't make a lot of sense late in games. So I think that has to change a little bit. What else? Thank God for BT Potter. Thank God that we have a kicker who's reliable now. My freshman year, I forget who the kicker was my freshman year, but it was always like a 50-50 chance if we would actually make the kick or not. It got to the point where Clemson would just go for it. If we were in field goal range, we would just try to score. So, thank God BT Potter's out there really making the lives easier for us and helping Clemson stay consistent so far. And picking up the slack where the offense can't finish in the red zone. Also, big congrats to KJ Henry for following the ball down there. He's a graduate defensive, and he actually graduated from Clemson, actually in the same ceremony that I did back in December last year. So I want to give a shout out to KJ Henry for making that big game-winning play, even though, of course, it's probably more the fault of Boston College than it is the credit of KJ Henry late in the game there. But, good reaction with him to getting the ball as quickly as possible before the quarterback for Boston College did. And that's about all the takeaways I have. I mean, there's some big plays from Kobe Pace in this game, some big plays by Justyn Ross that really helped bail Clemson out here. But overall, a win is a win, but I'm not satisfied. I think every Clemson fan is going to walk away from this game thinking, wow, this is going to be every game. We should have understood it after last week that this was going to be every game was going to be like that. And I don't think I really did. I was expecting at some point something would click. And maybe it still will, but for right now, I'll take the win and run with it, but still not it's going to be a long season.